In this video and the one that follows, I want to get a little bit deeper into Lightroom. Lightroom is a really very powerful program, lots of magical powers. So we're in this course, we're really only going to be able to cover maybe 10 or 15% of what it does. And even that is quite a bit. But I do want to get a little bit further in right now, both into the organizational tools and then also into some of the more sophisticated development tools. Okay, in this video, we're going to do some organizational tools, which are in the library. And in the next video, we'll play with some more advanced and some kind of fun development tools. But let's get started. I'm here I've navigated into this folder called Joshua Tree. This is just a bunch of random photos I took on a trip to Joshua Tree a few years ago. And right now they're in the order in which I took them. That's the way they came in when I imported them. And we call that capture time. You can see that down here in the sort window. Now, what I want to do is show you a few of the different tools that you have that will enable you to more quickly and efficiently sort and organize a group of photos that you bring in. I'm using these as an example. And we're going to use mostly these tools that are down here in the middle of this toolbar. Now, these may or may not be here when you open up your Lightroom. So I want to show you where to find them. Over here, it's kind of subtle, it's not intuitive. There's a little triangle, and all of the things that are checked are showing up. The view modes is the grid or single view, that's over there. The sorting, flagging. I don't have all of them up because I don't use all of them, and I'm not going to show you all in this demo. But let me just show you when you unclick it, you can see that disappears, and when you click it, it comes back. So if you're missing any of these things that I show you, then go over to that little triangle and pull them up. Okay, so here I'm going to just describe these really quickly and go through and use them. This is the sort tool, and we can sort it by all sorts of different things. This is a really important tool. I always have it on, and I'm going to show you how to make really good use of that in just a few minutes. This is the flag and pick tool. It's a tool that you can either flag a photo to pick it, or you can hit the X to reject it. I use this quite a lot. This is a rating tool, and so you can give a photo anywhere from 1 to 5 stars, or you can give it a color rating. Over here you have, this is not a sorting tool, but this is a nice tool to have on where you can make the thumbnails bigger and smaller. And I like that when I'm sorting because sometimes I want to pull back and see all of the photos at once. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave those kind of minimal and go ahead and get started showing you these tools. Now, I may have shown you one or two of these tools before. I just want to review them. One of the first things when I open up, let's just pretend I just loaded these off my camera. There's a bunch of stuff I don't even want. Really, these are all photos pretty much that I've gone through and culled out some of the stuff that was really terrible and even done some development. But let's pretend like they just came out of the camera. And you know how it is. There's stuff that is out of focus, or that you just was a mistake, or that you just don't like it and you want to get rid of it. There's a nice way that you can do this really efficiently and quickly in Lightroom, and I really love it. Just by using the flag and reject tools. Now, I usually don't even use the flag tool. I just use the reject. I go to the single image and I just start clicking through. And as soon as I see an image I want to get rid of, I just click that reject button. It doesn't get rid of it, but it just marks it for rejection. So I can pick all of those later on and decide if I really want to reject them. Now, there's a great shortcut for this tool that I really recommend you learn, which is just the X key on your keyboard. And so I just often go through when I first am going into a group of images and I want to get rid of some of the rejections. I just hover over that X key, click through. I can go through most of the new shoot pretty quickly within 10 or 15 minutes. I won't do all of these now. And just very quickly reject the ones that I definitely don't want to keep. And I may or may not really have wanted to keep these, but I'm going to go ahead and reject them. This is a copy of some files, so I'll go ahead and use that as an example. And if you accidentally hit the X and you don't want to do that, you can just unclick it. You can do the same thing if you're going through the opposite. Let's say you're going through these to pick some stuff for an assignment or a client. You could instead be going through and using the flag key. And this key, the shortcut is P. So you can just go from P to X. And I'll just, whoops. Sorry, I went into the wrong mode. That's the O for people, which I don't want to do. And I'll just do, that's it for now. Okay, cool. So that's the select and reject, the pick and reject tool. They call it the pick tool. I can also go through now and use the star rating. And again, I can do this pretty quickly. Oops, make sure that stays off. Go through the star rating and just rate individual images on where they rate on the star scale. So I'm just going to go through, and if it's rejected, I'm probably not going to rate it. It doesn't really matter if you do because the reject button still holds up. Oops, I missed that one. We'll give it a 2. This a 4. I really like that. And again, I'm just doing this relatively quickly just to give you a sense. And I'm not necessarily rating these in a way that I'll do them later. I do like that one though, just so that you can see when we come back, you'll see how useful this tool can be. Okay, so that's my star rating. Now the last one here is my favorite one, which is the color blocks. And I like these because I can randomly, or not randomly, I can specifically assign things a color rating based on what I want to do or what makes sense to me. And I have my own system. You don't have to use, you can attach your own meaning to each of those colors as long as you're consistent with it. Let's just say for the sake of this group of images that red is going to be landscape, yellow is going to be stuff from the Crochet Museum, which was the second place I went, and green is going to be from this art installation, the Noah Purifoy art installation. So I can go through and I can just say, oh, okay, I can do them singly. I can say, well, this is landscape, this is landscape, this is the Crochet Museum, Crochet Museum, Crochet Museum, and I can just mark all of those. Oh, that's landscape. And this is the start of the installation. Now, let me show you an easier way to do this. If I go back to my grid view, I know that a whole pile of these that are together were all the art installation. So I can just scroll through, oops, and I think it goes all the way to there. So I have the first one selected, Shift key. So I have all of the art installation photos selected, and I can just mark them all green. You have to do this in the grid view in the library, but it works quite nicely. The rest of these, I believe, and again, the thumbnails really help with this. I can scroll through. I think all the rest of these are landscape. And so I'm going to mark those green. Oops, sorry, red. And I can change my mind. Okay. Now, once I have all of that done, I'm going to deselect everything. I've done all sorts of marking and rating. Then I can use my capture time to organize these. So let's say I want to organize these by the pick and reject. It's going to show the picks at the first. I only picked a couple of them just as an example. And at the very bottom, it's going to have all of the ones that I rejected. Now, if I want to reject those now or throw them away, you can go here to delete rejected photos. There's also the shortcut. of the, I believe it is Command Delete. You can do that as well. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet, but just so you can see that you can see those photos that are up for rejection before you do it. Okay, so that's one way I could sort. I can also sort it by the rating. And if we go up to the top, we'll see that it starts with 5 stars and down to 2. And if I had 1, it would go down to the 1 star. So you can pick all the ones you like the best. And then the last one, of course, that we worked with was label color. And this is really one of my favorites. So if we do this, you can see that the landscapes are all red. They're at the first. And then we have the Crochet Museum. There's just a handful of those, and they're yellow. And then the very last ones are all the Noah Purifoy art installation. If I wanted to, I could easily then make subfolders. Let's say I'm going to choose, since they're sorted, I'll just grab all of these art installation ones, and I can just add a subfolder, and I'm going to call this art installation. And I'm going to include the selected photos. And voila, they go into this subfolder. And I could keep doing that with the other images that I want. Okay, so those are really great handy tools. They allow you to organize things really quickly. I have a rating system in my head that that I use consistently. But let me show you one other really handy thing. And I'm actually going to go to the larger folder. I'm going to go all the way up to Not Birds and select. This is a whole bunch of different stuff in this folder. It's got things that are rated, things that are not rated, things from various different trips, things that have nothing to do with travel. So this is just anything that's not birds. It's a pretty big folder. There's about 3,000. And I want to show you some methods that we can use to search through this particular folder without having to dig through individually. So up here we have the library filter. You also have, if it's not showing, you can just click this Find filter, and it's actually going to give you another button that helps you to navigate this library filter that will help you to search through in different ways. We're going to come back to this in another video, but right now I just want to show you a really cool sorting tool, which is the Metadata Sorting tool. The Metadata Sorting tool gives you things that are actually embedded into these photos, either that the camera put into them, and I'll show you these, or that I'm going to click those over so we can see a little bit more, or that you have actually added. For instance, if you have labeled them, this is going to pop up right here. Okay, so let's look at some of these. I can, for instance, if I was looking for something, I was like, oh, I think I shot that in 2014. I was there in May of 2014. This is actually going to give me all of the photos that I shot in May of 2014. It was a trip I took to LA. Then within that May 2014, I can actually break it down to what I took on Thursday and what I took on Friday. Now, I only shot with one camera on this particular trip, but I did shoot with a couple of different lenses. I shot with, or in this folder, there's 2 different lenses. I can actually bring up the ones that I shot with my wide angle lens. And this is actually that I shot on Friday with my wide angle lens. And I can also look at anything that has a label. Now, right now I'm narrowed down to that, but I can go back and look at everything again in 2014. You can see that there's a couple of different cameras there. This is the D810. This is the 50 millimeter. So I can begin to break this down and sort this very, very easily. Okay, there's one more area that I want to show you here, and it is in the text. I'm going to go ahead and put that up. So one of the other things that we can do, and I'm going to go back to the Joshua tree so that I can show this to you, is I can begin to add over in the right something called keywords. And keywords are incredibly useful. So yes, I will go ahead and show you how to do this quickly. So let's just say we're in our Joshua tree. We're looking at the whole thing. Or we can actually start up here with the Southern California. This is this whole trip that I took at once. I can select every single one of these photos. And over here in this box, where it says keywords, enter keywording and keywords. If it's not up, you can just drop it down like this. And I'm going to bring that up. And I can just enter Southern California. I can just do it as a phrase. Hit the return bar. And then all of these photos, if I click on them, they are indicated Southern California. Now within that, I can start to go into the individual folders. So this one, we know, was Joshua Tree. So I'm going to click into that folder. They all say Southern California. But these are now also going to say Joshua Tree. And hit the return button. Now within the Joshua Tree, we remembered we've already sorted these out. So I'll just pick one small subfolder. Now actually, let's go ahead and sort them by label color to make it simpler. And we can pick these and call these landscape. Some of these are actually from Joshua Tree Park. So I can call these all of these. Wow, there's a lot of them. I promise I'm going to keep it under 20 minutes, you guys. Yes, they go on and on and on. Okay, there we go. I will call these, and you can use these longer phrases. This is going to be Joshua Tree National Park, just so that I distinguish that. And then these, notice that these are not Joshua Tree National Park. These are the world famous Crochet Museum. Some people capitalize. I don't bother because if I'm going to look for it, it'll list that. And then this is the art installation. And I can keep on going within these. I can call these, I can call, let's say there's certain ones in here that are rocks. And I can actually just call them rocks. I can sort all of those out. I can sort out the ones that I've developed and label those. I can do any kind of different sorting. And then what you notice is that any image that I pick up, notice that this is not Joshua Tree. This has the keywords in there. Now, what's cool about this is, let's say, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you, let's say that I completely can't remember when I went to Joshua Tree, but I know I went there sometime. I can't find this folder. I can go into my demo photos. Let's actually do it. Yes, sir. I'm going to do it even bigger. I'm going to go into Ideal Student. And these are all the photos that are in Ideal Student. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to go up to text. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to say Joshua Tree National Park. And within that folder, on this hard drive, this is able to sort out just those pictures that are from Joshua Tree National Park because I had keyworded them ahead of time. Pretty cool. Okay, that's it for this. In the next video, we'll do some development.